You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Hannibal After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Hannibal After Show.
Yeah.
There it is.
Bing is for doing. We are doing the Hannibal After Show. What the hell is this?
I don't know. It's beautiful
Creatures.
It's Beautiful Creatures.
Beautiful Creatures by Kickout? Is that what we're doing? All right.
By Kickout.
All right. Okay.
I like it.
And then Beautiful Creatures is for
It's Garrett Jacob Hobbs' point of view here about these deer. When he's talking to Abigail in that opening scene.
Got it.
Discussing how you use every part of the animal and you have to honor it. Otherwise, eating
it's murder.
Otherwise, it's murder.
We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
This is the Hannibal AFTERBUZZ After Show. I'm Joe Braswell. I'm joined with my goodest friend in the world, Joe Sanfelippo.
I'm happy to be here with my goodest friend in the world, Joe Braswell. Did I get the number of goods right, Marissa?
Sounds like it, yeah.
Excellent.
You might have added an extra.
Oh,
there.
damn it.
But as long as you got goodest.
Yeah, goodest is important.
We're also joined by Marissa Serafini,
Hello,
Our
everyone.
lovely producer.
We're not joined once again by Nando Velasquez, that slacker. I can't believe he missed
Slacking
two
it up.
shows in a row.
I'm going to beat him with sticks.
How does he miss 2 shows in a row?
I think it has something to do with us doing 2 shows back to back.
Wait a minute. Don't take people behind the curtain.
I'm confessing. I'm in the confessional right now. It's 2001, and I'm on MTV, and I'm confessing. I'm in the confessional.
Right. Okay, well, we are doing the welcome to the Hannibal After Show. We're doing the show. We love it. We're having a great time so far.
I'm a huge fan. I didn't know I was a huge fan until I started watching. I was like, this show is so good.
It's the greatest show in the world.
Strong, but yeah, it's up there definitely.
Did you Potage?
Potage
Is the name of this episode.
Would you like a definition of potage?
Episode 4, and we know very well that this is a coursed out meal here. So we had the aperitif at the pilot. Episode 3.
3.
Oh, no, you sure about that?
Pretty sure.
I don't know if you're sure. Maybe you're right.
I am.
Damn it, you're always right.
Most of the time.
It's a coursed out meal here. We have the aperitif at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have the amuse-bouche,
Amuse-bouche.
which is the appetizer or bite-sized appetizer brought out usually by the chef.
Usually by the chef, and it gives you a taste, in a little glimpse into the way the chef likes to prepare.
And then next we bring out the potage.
Potage.
Which is a soup.
It is. It's a category of thick soups, stews, and/or porridges, in some of which you might have meat and vegetables that boil together with water until they become a thick mush.
Right.
I could read the history of potage, but I don't think anyone would give 2 tinker's shits. So I'm not gonna.
Maybe 1 tinker shit.
It's a tinker's damn. Damn it.
All right.
Oh well.
You look. I keep forgetting we have this new wonderful, for those of us watching on YouTube, we have this new cityscape background, and we commented on the
Do we look cool?
show. One of us does.
You look badass.
Do I look
thank
badass,
you.
or does
We
Joe look
both of
badass?
them. Both of you do.
I'll take
that's-
badass.
You do. Well, you got the suit on. You look like you're,
I'm here to play, man. Let's get
Yeah.
this did.
All right, let's get it done. Then I let Cityscape. It's like AfterBuzz Nights. Was what we said before.
AFTERBUZZ nights.
Yes, a little class.
Little
That's a
nightlight
Matt
action.
Lieberman. I'll give him that one. AfterBuzz Nights.
I love it.
Okay, so Potage. So we're back in the mix. These episodes. I don't know what's wrong with this show.
I can't think of a thing.
This show is outstanding. Another great episode, and we're getting into this. What if we did a show we didn't like? Can we do it? Can we do an AfterBuzz show about a show that we don't like or that's bad?
I think it would be short-lived. I think we'd just talk mad trash and go home. I don't think it would be. I think it would be fun for a couple weeks until people were like, "You're haters. We don't want to talk to you anymore."
Oh man,
And I wouldn't blame them.
I love the show.
I think one of the things they do on the show, we were talking about it about the last episode, is they have these overlapping. I think of it as almost like waves. These overlapping storylines. You have the overarching long-term storyline with Hannibal, who obviously we don't know who Hannibal is just yet. I mean, we all do, but Will and Jack and Ilana don't know. But then you have the shorter episodic, these shorter procedurals every week.
Yeah.
And so you got so you've got these overlapping things. But one of the things they're doing is giving us this interesting insight into the minds of killers. And this is the thing that's been happening in TV for the last few years. And I think we're all becoming more and more comfortable with it. What this show seems to do is I think anyway, give you it doesn't. There's a lack of judgment. And I think that there's moments that, like with in the beginning, this first scene with Hobbs and Abigail, with Abigail and her dad, I know obviously the man murdered, 9 people, but I really liked what he had to say. It was interesting, the way he was talking about, they were talking about the deer that they just shot, that Abigail had just shot. These beautiful creatures, you have to honor every part of them. Eating her is honoring her. Otherwise, it's just murder. He obviously had this thing in his mind. He had like his own serial killer code.
Well, this is kind of what. Well, just to unpack a couple of things she said there. On the whole, we've seen this a lot. We've seen these shows over the years. We are a little. I don't know. Would say we're desensitized to, but there's been a lot of serial killer profiler shows. I mean, it's a staple procedural. I keep mentioning CBS shows, but there's a lot of we're gonna get inside the mind of the serial killer, or we're gonna we hunt serial killers, or there's a killer on the loose, or whatever it is, and we're kind of desensitized to it because we're used to sort of saying what makes these guys tick, and we like watching this stuff. This show, I think the word you used, Joe, is that we're getting comfortable with it. This show is doing this weird thing where it's making me very uncomfortable again, because it's putting me in a position, this is how I feel personally, but it's putting me or the viewer in a position of Will Graham, which is like you're seeing the inner workings of how these serial killers think through the eyes of Will Graham, and it's so unsettling. And the way the stories are told sometimes is, we're only 3 episodes in, but you kind of get a view as to why they do what they do in a way that I think that we haven't seen before. And so to go on to that first scene, yes, you hear the father talking to the daughter about what normally wouldn't be if you extrapolate that speech and put it anywhere else in any other time or in the way, it's a pretty, there's nothing wrong with that speech.
It's almost noble. That's what hunters say, and that's what people say about about people who hunt and people who do are. Well, that's what a lot of people say, but very, very few people actually do.
Yeah, but the thing is, the way it was sort of beautiful. It's like, this is an honorable way to go, and you have to honor it. And you have to eat. We're gonna eat every piece of this, and we're gonna eat all of this, and we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And to know that, I'm like, yeah, but to add that extra layer of knowing, well, this is a guy who does this to women as well, and we're getting an origin as to how he treats women, and him teaching his daughter these things. It was so unsettling.
Absolutely.
In the opening scene. Again, as written, you read it like, oh, what's the big deal? But knowing what we know, it freaked me the F out.
Absolutely.
Again. I don't know. I don't know. This show does this really great job of scaring the crap out of me while intriguing me every step of the way, but doing it from a psychological standpoint. There's no real jumps and scares like the following the show that we won't mention. But there's not a lot of jumps and scares, or there's few, but there's a lot of psychological dancing happening there. So we see a lot of that in this episode, and we like you said, that we talk about how these episodes are standalone to a certain degree because they have their sort of killer of the week, if you will, and then a lot of times they're also arching with their continuing storylines. And this one was a bit of a continuation from last episode. We have now what we can call the Abigail storyline. I mean, Abigail is we see her in episode 1, and she's still around. She's a through line here through this whole thing, and we see how Will's interested in sort of not obsessed, but very interested in Abigail for the reasons that Will is. We see that Hannibal Lecter, we find out later on, is very interested in Abigail for maybe his own reasons, but also Dr. Alana Bloom is interested in Abigail you know,
Right.
because it seems like a sort of like a sisterly, motherly / sisterly way, wanting to take care of her and make sure she was okay. And then of course your girl, Freddie, she's interested in Abigail for her own reasons
How
as
does
well.
Freddie keep getting through? This is the only, you know, how does Freddie get through in to be sitting? How does that happen?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wouldn't there be like a, hey, whatever you guys do, don't let this crazy redheaded chick with the
She's
curly
not-
hair
yeah,
in.
She's not tough to miss with the red hair.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like she's mousy librarian
Right.
chick who just slips in. She's like, no, don't let the crazy hot chick with the red hair in. Okay, no,
By herself,
right
at the bedside.
of the suspected accomplice to the serial killer.
And when Jack and Will walk in, she's like, "Oh well, Will knows serial killers because he can think crazy just like that."
Because he's insane. Oh, hey, Will.
Hey, Will.
What's up? I'll just be leaving now, and you'll see me outside standing in front of my gorgeous Rolls Royce.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
That's the only thing in this show so far that's slept out of me and been like,
Well, there's another one. I'll get you later. There's a big leap out that's
we'll get there.
drove me nuts about this episode in an otherwise airtight, wonderful
Yes.
show. But go ahead.
Yes.
So, but Abigail, I love the way that they were able to put Abigail at the center of this episode. We start with her being awoken from that dream, having it's the hair, right?
yeah, she's stroking the deer and then the dead deer that she shot, and then the fingers are in the hair, and then pulls the head back, and it's a corpse. I'm not sure whose corpse it was. I don't really
Yeah, I don't know.
didn't get
man.
enough. It was one of those little things.
I'm gonna get to Abigail in a second, but I don't know about this Abigail.
I
don't know.
I don't think Abigail killed anybody, and I think Abigail. I think Abigail's going to be screwed up. I think Abigail now owes Hannibal, and just like Freddie does, and I think that's going to put her in a bad spot. And he engineered that with astonishing aplomb.
Well, he's he's Hannibal Lecter.
He is Hannibal Lecter.
Okay, so we start this episode. She wakes up from the coma,
Right.
and then which caused everyone to want to talk to her in the different ways. This was very much Abigail's episode.
Yes.
And the actress Casey Rawle, who was wonderful. She was so great in this episode. I
Absolutely.
believed her every step of the way. In fact, she was so good in this episode. I'll just jump into it. Why the hell not? Let me start with Abigail for a second. She was so good and so convincing in this episode in her sort of like, really trying to wrap her head around this whole thing at first, talking to, Dr. Bloom, sort of saying like, well, I do know what happened. I didn't want to tell them about it, but I'll tell you about it.
Right.
And then wanting to talk to Freddie as well, and then actually was very forthright wanting to talk to Will. I feel let's get a second. It's just,
She has a quality about her. It doesn't look like there's any. She as an actress, she kind of gives off that real like there's a real girl next door, and there's not a lot. She's not doing a lot of. She's not adding a lot of like weirdness to it. It's just very straightforward. She seems
Right.
very real. Very. She's not overworking it. It's great. It's just terrific.
Well, we're in episode 3. We don't know what happened in episode. Again, as I should mention, for those who are just tuning in, we're recapping these from the very beginning. We know we're in episode 6 or 7 right now. We are in episode 3. We're gonna do the best we can to catch up. But for those of you who are time shifting and DVRing and doing all those other things, you can actually may want to catch up with us or go back and listen to us, or just wait till we get to episode 6 or 7 and start listening then. But we're going over these episodes. So I will just say, I do not believe Abigail. And I'll tell you why. Because I'll tell you right now. Like
I'm glad I asked. And please tell me.
It's funny you should ask, Sanfelippo.
It is funny that I asked.
It's funny you should ask.
It's funny that I asked with your voice.
So this was, as I just said, this is her episode. She did a great job. She seemed very she's very inquisitive about what's going on. She seemed to have a lot to say and want to say a lot to everyone she came in contact with. Like there wasn't anything like when she came in contact with Dr. Bloom, she wanted to spill it right away. Well, my dad was crazy, and she wanted to spill it. When she came in contact with Freddie, she was ready to spill it all. When she comes in contact with Will Graham, she's so talkative with Graham, and then obviously we see her at the end with Lecter. And also her friend, but when we see her get out of the hospital and walk back to the house, walk back to the crime scene, and she's looking at the blood, and she's trying to make seeming to sort of wrap her head around this whole thing. I felt the whole time like she was manipulating. Just something about the way Casey was playing that. I felt like she was manipulating everyone. And I'm not saying that. I can't figure out if she's doing a thing where she's blacking out or if she's it's a complete conscious manipulation. But I wrote this down. I felt like, is she pulling an Ed Norton on us? I think of Ed Norton in Primal Fear.
You know, here's my opinion.
Ed Norton in Primal Fear.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Okay.
and I don't. Here's why I don't think so. And I totally understand that there were clues laid that you could go either way. But okay, so
A lot of clues.
A lot of clues. Totally understand what you're saying. But it's the hair and the pillows.
Well, that's okay. Go
The
ahead.
hair and the pillows.
That's my clue.
Dad says used every part. She cuts open those pillows because she's like, you can see her thinking like, how did they use every part? And you can see it drop in. Holy shit, it's in the pillows. And she cuts open the pillows made from the deer skin held together by the deer hide, and inside are the chick's hair.
Right. That was gross.
She was totally destroyed by that. That
shit was terrible.
If what did I think I yelled? Oh
I
shit!
know. You're like, oh wow, not the hair.
But I got caught.
All right.
But I really felt like her reaction to that was like that horror of no, I didn't think for a second. If she'd been in on it, she'd have known the hair was in the pillow. Right. There would have been no reason for her to cut it open and have a moment of discovery.
Okay, fair enough. That was the only instance where it made me. There's a couple instances where I think it's one of two things. First of all, she's in on this shit. I don't care. I could be wrong.
I'm just saying.
I'm gonna go Nando Vel on this one and just stick to my guns on this. Shout out to Nando Velasquez. But I'm sticking to my guns on this.
Despite all evidence to the contrary.
Despite all evidence to the contrary, I got my theory and I'm sticking with it all season. But either she was doing the Ed Norton manipulation thing like in Primal Fear, or she's doing the losing time, the thing that Ed Norton was pretending to do in Primal Fear, which is losing time and blacking out.
You think she might be doing it for real?
And doing it for real. So it's either one or the other. And the reason why is in that dream.
She saw a face. Why would she see a face?
Well, no. Forget the face.
Forget the face.
Forget the face, which she did see if it was. But what she ran her fingers through the hair. It was the hair that freaked her out. Like she ran her fingers through the hair. Like she's something. There's a memory there.
So you're thinking there's a memory that subconsciously she know, or you're saying she's blacked out. Or she's losing time like Ed Norton did in okay, I got you. In Primal Fear, so the character faking the losing time,
right.
But you're saying she's doing it for real.
You're confusing me.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm unpacking, as we've said in the past.
Yes.
So you're saying that you think that she was part of this stuff with Dad but has no memory of it, except on a subconscious level.
Or whatever, yeah, because the dreamings happened, and then when she ripped open the thing, it's the hair that freaked her out. Because,
but you're right, it was the hair that was in the dream,
right? Because she wouldn't be like, oh, here's the hair. Oh well, she freaked out. Here's the other bit. Right before she opened the hair, she was kind of messing with her hands and like messing with her knuckle. Something's with her knuckle. And what did they say happened to the chick, her best friend, the little friend who got killed?
Yeah, but that
hit in the mouth.
Really? No.
Why? Give me the holes.
I'm going to tell you the whole right now. I don't think she was ever alone at that point. She was not alone enough.
She was doing the thing like with like.
Yeah, but she wasn't alone with Marissa, and it was a cut, and she didn't have a cut. She was just playing with her hand.
You sure?
Yeah, Hannibal. I'll tell you. I'll break down the whole thing with Marissa. Hannibal. Remember they threw that rock at Ginger Boy?
Yeah.
Okay,
that was a good shot, by the way.
That was. Marissa hit Ginger Dude straight in the head, right? Yep. And he bled. That blood was on the rock. Hannibal covered the rock up with the leaves with his foot. Right? Shouldn't we report this?
Yes.
After I've just covered up the evidence, then he planted that in Marissa's mouth, because otherwise, yeah, that's smooth, man. Otherwise, there was never anything. There was nothing on the girl that was on the stag that he put out there, and there was nothing on any.
Did I miss that? Is this you putting this together, or did they?
It was pretty clear.
But did they say this in the episode? This is what happened, or is it?
No, if you watched it, that's what he did.
If you watched it, you calling me out, Joe?
I'm just saying, if you watched the episode, Marissa, if you had watched the episode, I wouldn't be having this conversation. Marissa knows what's up.
Well, apparently I missed it. I still think.
I'm just saying.
All
right.
So, forget my theories aside. Leave them right. My theories aside, we don't whether or not we don't know at the time that Abigail is doing shit, but we were all trying to find out. We're all very interested. Everyone in the episode is very interested as to what Abigail knows or doesn't know.
Jack has thought since episode 2 Abigail's deep in this.
Well, it seems like the FBI is very much thinking that she has something to do with this, as does her neighbors.
Well, let me say this. I would say that actually further goes against your theory of her having killed Marissa, because the FBI would have been keeping an eye on her, but not an eye on our boy Hannibal, who obviously did kill Marissa.
Okay.
Duh. Did you see the look that he gave Marissa after the yelling match across the little creek there?
Didn't like it.
He loved her. Are you kidding? I thought as soon as he like got a look at Marissa and got like the vibe from Marissa that she was like fiery, I wrote it down like, dude, Marissa's in trouble. Hannibal looked at her for way too long.
Do you think Hannibal likes to kill fiery broads?
I think if you interest Hannibal, you're in trouble. You might get eaten. I just when you see Hannibal just talking, I didn't see nothing. I don't know anybody. Don't even look at me.
That's the thing with Hannibal too. I don't know, just in the getting inside the whole Hannibal pathology or psychology or whatever, or psychopathology, if you will. Like, I don't. What is he? Is he look for? If he looks for someone to kill, is he looking at someone like that's a good piece of meat, or is he looking at someone like she's crazy? I want like.
I gotta tell you, I hate that we're even having this conversation, because it's freaking me out that we're even having it. But
Yes.
it's what we have to do with this show. We have to have
We
this
do the
conversation.
Hannibal AfterBuzz after show.
So
right here on
I
AfterBuzz
would think that if you are a serial killer that eats people, eventually I would imagine you start to wonder, what do other people of other what does a person who yells a lot taste like? What does a fat person taste like? What does a skinny
boy.
person? I mean, wouldn't you think?
I don't know, Will Graham.
I'm just saying.
I don't empathize with killers like you do.
I don't want to, and that's I don't have Will's job. I couldn't wake up at 4 a.m. sweating like that.
Right.
But I wonder if that isn't a natural progression. If that is your particular type of wackadoo, and you have the means and the intellect to go about it, I would think that you would start to. That's terrible to even say, but I would think you'd start to broaden your horizons. I think you'd see someone like Marissa that is interesting, vivacious, and I think that would be you'd be attracted to that.
All right. Well,
Oh, it's terrible.
Okay, I'm not. I got no comment on any of that.
It's creepy as shit. I know.
There's
There's just no other way to say it. But I'm it's kind of, it forces my brain to go to that place.
No.
Like, I do want to talk about our girl Abigail when she first, because she does do some weird stuff. And
a lot of weird ass
she does.
shit.
One of the things she like in that first scene when she wakes up, when she's up, and after Freddie leaves, right? Will's insane. Okay, goodbye. And then Freddie tries to give the card to her. No, Will takes it. And Will asks her, "Do you remember me?" She says, "I remember you. You killed my dad." Like, it's just straight up, and there's no emotion behind it. There's no anger. It's very like, you killed my dad. And eventually, as they're talking. It was an interesting scene to me, because there's the BS coming from Will, and then there's the straightforwardness from Abigail, because she's saying, he was saying it's so awful, right? Killing somebody, even if you have to do it, it feels that bad,
Right.
And he says it's the ugliest thing in the world, but he's lying, because we already know from episode 2 that he liked killing Hobbs. It felt good to kill Hobbs. He said that to Hannibal, so he's covering up a little bit of what he's really feeling. And so I think we know that Will has an opinion about his own feelings,
Right.
about this. Like, he's not comfortable with his own feelings about what he's already done.
Huh. I don't disagree. Well, I don't know if I buy. I think that Will is. I don't know if they're mutually exclusive feelings for Will. I think that he can both, really enjoy doing that thing to her dad, killing her dad, and also saying that killing is a horrible feeling. I think they can both be true for him,
right?
As a guy who gets inside the mind of serial killers. But what I did like, with Will, let's just staying with Will for a second here, is what about the Will Freddie confrontation, which I thought was great, when Freddie sort of gets back. Now, we talked about in the last episode, is Freddie a villain or not? And I seem to think when she watched the cop get killed in front of her and had the blood splatter on her face, that maybe she'd have a change of heart. Well, we see in this episode, she's up to her old tricks.
I'll tell you this. I think that she became a villain when she got Ginger when she took Ginger to lunch. She called Ginger. I keep calling him Ginger. That's unfair.
Yeah.
But she called.
Was he a ginger?
Yeah, he was a ginger.
Okay. I thought he was blonde.
No.
Strawberry blonde?
Ginger, full blonde.
All right.
So
the guy.
they don't have souls. So I'm kidding.
That's the opinions expressed by Joe Sanfelippo does not reflect that of Joe Braswell AfterBuzz TV.
But I'm sorry it's late. She calls the brother of the gal who was killed by the copycat, who I believe to be Hannibal at any rate, and has him meet her for coffee. and she sets this whole thing in motion. Would you like to know her address? Like I just want to let you know, Abigail is awake. Abigail Hobbs woke up, and basically she's stirring the pot. But when you stir the pot on this level, you're not just saying, "Oh my God, you're not going to believe it. So and so said such and such." No, you're sending a loaded gun out there.
Is she? Let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Play devil's advocate.
Is she like stirring the pot in order to get more information for the story? Or is she stirring the pot in hoping that she causes more shit for her to write about?
That's what I'm saying.
All right. Okay.
Now,
that's unclear to me.
Here's my argument. If I sit down with you and I'm writing a story and I say, "Hey Joe, here are the questions that I had." Now I don't trust reporters, and the few times I've talked to them, I'm very, very careful. I'm terrified of them because they're going to do whatever they're going to do.
Right.
But
they may write down something you say about gingers.
You might, and apparently it's up there in the interwebs.
Right.
Whatever those are.
Go.
But she doesn't approach this as a story. She's not asking him questions. She's not going for background on his sister. She's not trying to figure out if who her sister knew or blah blah blah. She's here. I'm just telling you that Abigail Hobbs is awake, and here's where she is, and that's it. That's not a reporter digging for a story. That's someone trying to make something happen.
Well, because it could be a reporter trading information. She's like, I want to trade you this. I'm giving you this information. Now I want some information from you. Tell me more about your sister. Tell me what happened. Tell me what you think. I'm doing a profile on Abigail. I'm trying to write this story.
I'll tell you this. My vibe is that she was trying to make something happen.
Okay.
Or, it felt to me like, "Hey, bro, I just want to let you know your girlfriend was out with so-and-so the other night. I'm not saying anything happened. I just saw. All I'm saying is I saw him out there.
Right.
I don't know, he was talking some trash about you last week. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just
saying. And he's right next door right now, and I got a brick in my hand. I'm just saying.
I love that character. That's my favorite Joe Sanfelippo character. Whoever that guy is.
That's Jimmy. I'm just saying.
Jimmy, I'm just saying. I love that guy. All right, maybe I'm not going to give her the complete benefit of the doubt. I was playing devil's advocate because I do think she is actually a villain, because we do see her in that confrontation with Will where she, sort of tries to, and she walks this line between she's still got her swag back after seeing the cop getting killed in front of her. She's back with her swag, like rolling up to Will, like, I'm trying to write a story. Check this out. Why don't you do this? I'll do a little something for you, a little something for me, Will.
Marissa, day before, a cop blown his head off on her. And the next day, she's like stirring the pot,
yeah.
Villain.
Okay, but the confrontation. So Will does not like it at all, and Will gives her the great line of I would not. Something to the effect of I can pull it up here. Oh, this is I wouldn't threaten a guy who I wouldn't threaten a guy who gets in the mind. Well, I can't remember.
The guy who gets in the mind of serial killers for a living, right? Isn't that what he says? Something along those lines.
Isn't it very smart to threaten a guy who gets in the mind of people who kill people for a living?
Right.
That's not what he said.
All right, and then we cut to Jack.
Yes.
Then we cut immediately to Jack sitting down doing Nick Donovan for the first time, or.
Well, he's not. He's a subdued Nick Donovan.
Right. He's much better. But he's he's like, did it not occur to anyone? Why would you let him say that to her?
Right.
And it's not very smart to say something like that to a journalist, which I thought was.
For those of you who don't know, Nick Donovan was the FBI head of the FBI in The Following, and he was a very animated, maybe some may say angry black guy, and
that seemed to be his whole thing. That was it.
And we talked a lot about that stereotype being portrayed in the media.
Well, Lawrence Fishburne does it though. Lawrence Fishburne does it a little better than that.
But Lawrence Fishburne classes up the job.
He classes
up the
job.
In pretty much the same role, but he classes up the job.
Oh, does he class it up?
So that's actually an insult to call him Nick Donovan.
Yeah, you're right. That's my bad. That's absolutely unacceptable.
You told me you would never mention The Following again.
I lied to you.
Okay.
And I never said that anyway. We were naked, and you promised we were never naked. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
In that scene, this is one of the scenes I thought was really interesting. Jack he starts leaning more toward Hannibal than Alana in his trust of the doctors.
Yeah.
And I think Hannibal's he starts taking that trust, and obviously that's going to lead to really bad things later on. But it is interesting to see it happening. One thing I do want to talk about, we didn't touch on, is the classroom scene, which is more toward the beginning of the episode. Will is lecturing, and he's talking about the 8 girls killed and the one sadist copycat.
Sure.
And he says something I thought was really interesting. It's arguable that he elevated this style to art, and what's interesting to me, does Will recognize then, on some level, what Hannibal did as art, as opposed to what?
No, hold on. That's a tricky question.
That's why I asked.
You're talking about a guy who, anytime you deal with Will Graham and how he goes about his business, he's a guy who gets inside the mind of these serial killers. He's a guy who empathizes with them. So for him to be able to do his job, he has to be able to know exactly what the guy's thinking. So that's not fair. So if he says, this guy, planted mushrooms, planted fungus on live bodies because he wanted to see them interconnected. Like, if he says that that's what happened, doesn't mean he believes that and feels that. That's not saying on some level Will must have believed that they're interconnected.
Well, no,
that's not really fair.
But what I'm saying is he does say that arguably he elevates this to art. He does say that in the classroom, and because they're trying to.
What I do love about that scene, not to dismiss what you're saying, because I don't think what you're saying is merit. I'm just saying I don't know. That's what I do love about that scene is the fact that Will Graham is actually profiling Hannibal Lecter right in front of him and doesn't even know it.
And you got that smirk on Hannibal Lecter's face when he says that, and
that's this show is working at its best on all 30 cylinders and it's working on all 8 cylinders when the moments like that are happening. When you have Will, the super genius, versus Hannibal, the super genius. Hannibal's in the room, the guy who is Will's doctor. Will is the guy who's on the case teaching to his class about what Hannibal did and getting it all right because he's a genius of what this guy does. And Hannibal's listening like, yep, that sounds about right. This guy's got me pegged. He's profiling him, and yet he all he has to do is turn around and be like, oh, that's you. I'm describing you. And what's also great about this is we know it's only a matter of time
before they catch him.
Maybe the end of this season, maybe 2 seasons down the road, when Will make that connection, and we cannot wait. It's building to the moment when Will makes that connection, and that's what makes this show so great.
That super wave that's coming, it's going to land.
It's like this. But anyway, just to clarify, and me stepping on your point about him on some level, does he think this is art? I think the answer to that question is yes. At some level, he does think that this is art. He does agree with Hannibal that this is an art because he gets inside the mind of killers like Hannibal Lecter.
Yes.
But not because he thinks it's cool.
I agree with you on that. But I do think that once you are able to empathize with someone and pull judgment out of it, then you can. I don't know if he's pulling judgment out of it. That's not fair. But if you're able to empathize on that level, then you can recognize things that other people can't recognize or wouldn't recognize, and see subtlety where other people wouldn't. And I do think that's part of what drives Hannibal to have this relationship with Will.
Right.
Because, this really is all on Hannibal's terms. We said it on the last episode. What is Hannibal's reason for doing this? And I think I compared it to what you and I would be doing with video games. Like, we'd be playing video games, whereas this guy is interested in having someone, I think, understand him.
Sure.
We all have that reaching for connection. They were talking about in the last episode. I do think we all want to be understood and connected with somebody, and nobody's going to... You can't exactly sit down with your wife and explain to her how you like to cook people. No. So you have to find someone to understand you.
Yeah.
Maybe this is part of Hannibal's motivation, is he wants to be understood, recognized.
Yeah, well, and then he's
without consequence.
We should get into the main plot point of this whole thing, which is the murder and the Abigail murder. Because Abigail does kill someone that we see.
Yes, she does.
And there is a cover-up. And, first of all, it's hard to figure out what Hannibal's motives are for covering this up. Is this further to, extend his game and sort of extend the puppet master, tentacles out? Is it that he really sort of feels something for Abigail in some weird way? Is it that he knows that she's a real killer? That she's a killer herself? Is it that he wants a protege? Because there's a few ways to read this. There's a couple ways to read this. Either I'm right and Abigail is a killer, because it seems that Hannibal sort of thinks that she is. It's at some level, because he has already identified her when he asks her. He tells her, like, "Oh, you butchered this guy." So, no, I didn't. Goes, oh, did you?
Well,
Did
that
you
was
not mean to kill her?
I felt that was part of his manipulation. He kept using verbiage that was going to freak her out. You murdered him, you butchered him, you said something else. I think I understand what you're saying. I wonder if because part of the episode was Abigail wondering, am I sick too? Am I going to be messed up like Dad? And maybe Hannibal's point of view is, yeah, you probably are. I want to be there when it happens.
You might. I don't know if you are, but if you are,
I'm here.
Come to Papa.
Right? We're gonna have some fun.
Well, your old daddy used to eat people. Guess what I do?
Guess what new daddy does?
What a wacky coincidence. It's funny you should say.
Oh, I'd love to have you over for dinner.
Yeah. So that's what
I'll make you some loin.
If in fact, okay, so either Hannibal on some level thinks that she is a killer and it wasn't on this, and he wants to sort of get that out of her, or he thinks on some level that she's teetering and he wants to push her over the edge, or just maybe wants to toy with her. If it's the latter, that's pretty sadistic and sad and crazy. If this poor girl is actually at face value really scared and genuinely like, I don't know if I'm crazy or not, what am I doing this for? And Hannibal's like, you know what? Hey, killing. Like, let me show you the way. Like, that's creepy.
Well, let me point something out here. Our boy Hannibal likes people to owe him favors. He's got Will owes him a favor because the psych eval was never done.
Sure.
We just had a conversation. I've already filled out the paperwork. Our girl Freddie owes him a favor because
she does.
Recorded that conversation, kept the purse over on the other side of that couch, like I talked about the last episode, and we don't really know how that ended, but we know Freddie owes her a favor.
Yep.
Owes him a favor. I beg your pardon. And now we have Abigail owing him a favor.
And Papa Hobbs owed him a favor too.
Oh,
he gave him a heads up phone call.
And Abigail figures that out.
Yeah.
So and that scene, wait, you're glad I killed him. You're the one who called my dad. She figured it out.
What about that moment, or just going back when they're all in the room and they're going to that reenactment? And Abigail's
that's
like,
again when Abigail was weird. You're right.
Why don't
She
you be
was
the guy
so
on the
excited.
phone? Yeah.
Oh yeah, when she said that and the camera's right on his face, you be the guy on the
like
phone.
A little sly smile.
Yep. I've played that part before.
One more sort of show observational, larger show thing. I should mention this episode was directed by David Slade. Same guy directed the pilot. Same guy directed 30 Days a Night and Twilight Eclipse. And he's also a great director and really knows how to sort of set a mood and do different genres, which is, we talked about how this crosses multiple genres. But one of the other hundreds of things that this show does really well, why the show works, and it works on all the levels we talked about in previous podcasts. But another level this works at is as an ensemble drama, because the show's called Hannibal. It's about Hannibal Lecter, and our guy Mads is doing a fantastic job of that. You also have the main protagonist, which is Will, and Hugh Dancy is Fancy Pansy Dancy is acting. Is that going to stick? That's not going to stick.
Not for me.
All right,
I'm not saying it.
Make it Nando say it.
I talk enough trash.
Nando will love that.
No. Yeah, Nando will love that.
He'll like that.
He'll say that.
All right, so we got Hugh Dancy as the main protagonist, but it's filled out by these other wonderful characters and these great actors. I mean, you got Lawrence Fishburne in essentially a supporting role, but he elevates it to this great part. You've got Abigail. Casey Rawle is, she's acting her ass off. She's elevating this into a large part. We talk about these other people like, Dr. Bloom and Freddie and all these other people who populate this world. Even your girl, Dr. Agent Beverly Katz, the Asian one who keeps flirting with. You don't like her, do you?
I'm not sold on Asian Katz.
I feel. What's
you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. I don't feel like
Agent Beverly Katz is the agent who has been flirting with him for the last 3 episodes.
I don't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it comes naturally to me. It doesn't feel like it feels like she's been directed to do that. Yeah, we want you to be a little more overt in your flirting, and it feels like it feels a little false. And I think they've stopped it a little bit. Maybe I don't know.
Okay, we'll see.
We'll see how it shakes out.
The moment of the pilot, the moment of pilot where she's like, "Oh, you're Will Graham, rucka," and then the moment in last episode where she's kind of does the move when at the shooting range, kind of teaches them how to shoot. Yeah. Then she disappears. Who cares about her? But I mean, no offense to you, Beverly Katz. I'm sure you're wonderful. But let's just to get to this. I want to get to this.
I want to talk about. They got Scott Thompson in this thing. He's one of the kids in the hall playing one of the crime scene investigators.
Yeah.
I keep waiting for something funny to happen, and it's Scott Thompson.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Nothing.
Well, something.
Kids
something
in the
will
hall?
happen. I know. So they're great. Something will happen shortly. But
let's
wrap this episode up because we're here.
We are here.
Yeah, we're here. But I did want to say, before we did have one major, I teased my major flaw. We had our major FBI WTF moment, which I thought it appeared when Lawrence Fishburne, Jack, is like, "This is over. Hannibal Lecter, why don't you take Abigail home?"
It's written down right here. Would you? Yes.
There's no agents around. There's no agents that's going to take Abigail home or out of the country, take him out of whatever she told him to do. There's not an escort. This is the FB freaking I.
I completely agree.
Hannibal
with
Lecter's the only guy who can handle Abigail.
I completely agree. We just put Abigail in Dr. Lecter's car.
Yeah, so that I didn't like that at all. So anyway, we find out what happened.
I think maybe we, as lay people, maybe we have a higher opinion of
the FBI.
Not that, but maybe we have like this idea that people camp at these crime scenes. Maybe that just doesn't happen.
All right, well, maybe not. Also, I did like the way, just the way Lecter and Will are kind of like, they're like a buddy. It's like a buddy cop movie in this one. They're kind of running around.
Yeah,
they're running down. It's like Starsky and Hutch.
They're working the caper, man.
They're working the caper. Anyway, so we see that the big plot point here is that Hannibal Lecter helps Abigail cover this thing up. Sort of manipulates her. We don't know whether she's going to go along with him or not. We find out that she does. She escapes her hospital and comes to Hannibal Lecter's lair, and they tell each other we're going to keep each other's secrets.
Let me add, because I just had a thought here. In the cabin's really cleaned out, and Abigail's talking about Dad, and she's kind of going. He did everything. He made glue out of the bones, and he made his own butter.
Yep.
He used every part of the animal. And it just dawns on her. She realizes that holy crap, he was probably feeding it to us. And there's a choice that could have been made by Will and Hannibal to say, maybe not, we're not sure, probably not. Instead, Hannibal says there's a very good chance that's what's been happening.
Yeah,
but I think he's starting to get control of her. He's starting to make her feel wrong and off and dirty. And when he sees the opportunity, when she stabs Ginger. It's not fair. The character has a name, dang it, Joe. Anyway, so she finds this hair on the pillows at the same time Ginger's coming. So she is devastated. And she's got that huge knife in her hand that she cut open the pillow, right? So Ginger comes running in, and he throws her up against the wall, which was incredibly stupid, as we've learned. And so Hannibal sees this opportunity.
Important what he said. I didn't do it.
I didn't do it. It wasn't me. Yeah. And we knew that.
Of course.
We knew it was. But Hannibal, the way he takes control of her, I thought was very, very masterfully done.
Right.
And like we said earlier, he likes to have people owe him favors, but he forced that. He forced that whole scenario.
Well, let's wrap this up by jumping to predictions, and we'll do predictions by asking some questions.
Do it
now. Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, so I have just questions for our predictions. The first question I have for you is, why? What's in it for Hannibal and Abigail? Why is he doing this to Abigail? What does he want from her?
My opinion is that I think Hannibal likes to have people owe him favors. He likes that gives him control of the situation.
But ultimately, how is this going to play out?
It gives him control of the situation, so he can control Freddy now to some degree. He can control Abigail to some degree. He can control a little bit of Will to some degree. And even if it's just so much as having people trust him more or give him more leeway because they owe him favors, that's a form of control. So he's got a little more control over the situation. Like I said before, I thought last episode that he's playing games. I think in thinking about the art that he made and Will recognizing the art, I do think there's a desire he has to, on some level, be recognized.
Right.
And I think that's kind of his psychology to some degree. He wants someone that can appreciate it. Like, you don't want your art to be, if you make something magnificent, right, and it's perfect, and you show it to a standard run-of-the-mill guy that has no appreciation for what this is, right, and he goes, oh, that's pretty cool. That does nothing for you.
Right.
But if you're dealing with a connoisseur of art, someone who runs a gallery, someone who really knows, and then you can show something with this layer that is technically impressive, that is deep, right? And that person can appreciate your art on a whole nother level. That's got to be much more satisfying to an artist, right, than having the run-of-the-mill guy. Yeah, that's cool. So instead, you have Will, who is that connoisseur of this particular form of art. So maybe that's Hannibal's deal. He wants Will to see his stuff. Maybe.
Okay. Maybe. I like that. Last Abigail, good or evil?
Abigail?
Yeah.
Good.
All right.
No questions asked.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it. That's all we got. Joe Flippo, where can we find you?
You can find me on the Twitters at Joe Flippo, and you can find me here at AfterBuzz. Joe and I do Bates Motel with Nando Val and Dua Casey, and we also do the Mad Men, and that's about it.
Hannibal.
Yes. And we do this show, The Hannibal.
My name is Joe Braswell. You can find me on Twitter at Joe K. Braswell. You can find me in all the places you can find Joe Flippo, except for his house. Which won't be today.
Unless you get in trouble. I don't know.
No, yeah, maybe I'll be on your couch. And also you can find me on Grantland.com and Extra and here at AfterBuzz. And we are very, very happy for doing this AfterBuzz Hannibal show. Thanks for downloading us on iTunes. Forgot to mention. Thanks for rating us. Rate us. Give us 5s. Tell us what you think. Next week we will have more people. We'll have Nando Velasquez. We'll have Julia Lees Smith, who's wonderful. And so we'll see you all next week with more Hannibal.
Yes.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.